The NAVARASA sadhana is one of the most effective actor training methodologies for actors and dancers across genres, devised by Guru VENU, based on his lifelong research and study on the traditional actor training methodologies of Kerala, combined with his understanding of other actor training practices from around the world, including the Western traditions. Around 17 years ago, Guruji Venu was invited to the Intercultural Theatre Institute in Singapore to teach the acting students the basics of actor training based on Venuji's knowledge of the traditional techniques. And it is here that he first started defining his methodology, and over the years, both at ITI Singapore and the National School of Drama, Venuji worked with actors from different parts of the country, different parts of the world, and has finally crystallized his methodology. Now, the upcoming workshop, starting on the 5th of August, is going to be the 100th workshop in a long series of workshops over the last 2 decades. And these workshops have benefited several eminent artists from various fields. The significance of Navarasa Sadhana lies in the fact that for the first time, a formal methodology, a carefully crafted methodology that draws from the wisdom of the Indian tradition has been created for the benefit of actors. Over the past several decades, especially in India, the trend was always towards drawing from the Western actor training methodologies. And that's what makes Navarasa Sadhana extremely precious and unique.
NAVARASA SADHANA is an actor training methodology based on the traditional Indian concept of Navarasas, the 9 basic sentiments. An actor training system based on the Navarasas have been introduced by the great scholarly Kodungalur royal family. Some of the scholars, especially Vidwan Ilayathampuran of Kodungalur in the 18th century, he was teaching Navarasas as an actor training methodology to some of the professional actors. In the beginning of 20th century, the great Bhagavatar Kunjini Tampuran started as a continuation of the Kodungalur system. He was also training some of the great Kathakali and Kudiyattam actors in the Navarasa. It was called Swara Vayu. Swara means the sound of breath. The sound of breath is always according to the emotional variations. So he trained the great Kathakali master Pattikanthuti Ravani Menon and Thekungati Ravani Nayar and Kudiyattam masters Mani Madhav Chakyar and Amanur Madhav Chakyar. I have come across this technique of training in 1982. I was highly impressed with the term Suravayu because I never heard such a term in the acting system. So I was very impressed and was very much eager to know more and more about this system of training. When I was learning Abhinaya from my guru, Amanur Madhav Chakyar, one day he mentioned that he had training for 3 years at Kodungalur. That was the most astonishing news because I never heard that he had the training of Navarasa from the Kodungalur royal family, because those days such details are never written in their biodata or any that kind of system. So while he was explaining about a particular eye movement and involvement of the actor in relation to that particular movement, he said, "This is taught to me by Kodungalur Tampuran." It was really an astonishing news. And he gave me a photograph of Bhagavatar Kunjini Tampuran. That was the first introduction to me about the Kodungalur tradition of actor training experiments. Soon, myself, together with the Guru Amanur, we visited the Kodungalur royal family. But there was Tampuran, Kunjini Tampuran died around, in the 48 or something like that. And there was nobody, with him the whole system came to an end. But we were interviewing the family members who witnessed some of these events. So the first trip to me with having interaction with the Kodungalur family was with my guru Amanur Madhav Chakyar. Later on, I continued. I had several interactions with the son of Kunjani Thampuran, Sri Krishna Menon, who was also a singer and highly spiritual person, and he was professionally, he was a chartered accountant working in Mumbai. So I had a rare opportunity to have a long discussion with Sri Krishna Menon and so many other people, Thampuran's daughter, Devadatta, and many other members of the royal family who remember his extraordinary contribution about this teaching of the great actors. One of the nieces of Thampuran, Sri Kunyakutti Thampurati, gave me a detailed biodata she has written during the centenary of Bhagavatar Kunjani Thampuran. So that was another information I received. So I come across his life. It's so astonishing that he was the Vali Thampuran, the king. His main interest was in the histrionic elements of traditional Indian system. Apart from that, he was a Bhagavatar, great musicologist, musician. He was also a great master of Veena, the musical instrument, and he was expert in fabricating Veena. And he was a yogi, and he was so many things. A very astonishing personality. I come to know that the greatest of Indrajal, the great technique of traditional India, Indrajal is something that it is sort of an effect which is produced, which is with it is not magic. The modern magic is always with instruments and many equipments, but this one is purely psychological. An Indrajal person could make the influence so much that they project so many things which they want you to see it. Bharata mentioned about Indrajal. And our father of Indian theatre, Lord Shiva, if you go through his theatrical life, you will understand that his theatre was very much influenced with the Indrajal technique. The Bhagavatar Kunjani Thampuran, when I come to know that one of the last Indrajal of Kerala in the 20th century, Vazhakunnam Neelakandan Nambudiri, was taught this technique by Kunjani Thampuran himself. So altogether it was a revealing aspect that theatre and actor training include all sort of aspects, music and so much of different practices, yoga, and also techniques like Indrajal. So it was a total Indian theatre existed in the Kodungalur family, but it was not publicized. So it was not that Thampuran was never a professional actor. Acting was only his, in those days people used to call Vinodam, for interest he does. Other Kodungalur royal scholars, mostly they were all highly reputed poets and literary contribution. So this idea of possibility of developing an acting methodology based on the Navarasas came to me from Kodungalur. So it is, I go on collecting information. Whenever I get something about it, I immediately write down. So gradually it came to me as a blessing that I started creatively thinking of how to develop a system of training based on the Navarasas. I had opportunity also to be trained with one of the greatest masters of Kathakali and creative dancing, Guru Gopinath. Guru Gopinath was very special in expressing Navarasas. When I joined him as his student, the first assignment was that he used to do solo Navarasa demonstrations. I have been given the responsibility of comparing those sessions. That really eye-opening experience. I also had training in Kathakali from Kirikat to Shankarapillai, who is the only son of Kirikat Kochuvelipillai, belonged to a very rich tradition of Kathakali of Kuttanad of Kerala. Kuttanadan tradition of Kathakali was very famous, and his father was one of the very rare masters who could express so many impossible things with the eye. So Kirikat Kochuvelipillai and another great Kathakali master, Thottam Shankaran Nambudiri, whom Uday Shankar, the great Indian dancer, took him to his training center when he established at Almora in the Himalayas. So all this background made me think a lot of aspects about creating an actor training methodology based on the NAVARASAs. But I am not a disciple of Kodungalur tradition because the last of masters of the Kodungalur Navarasa Suravayu passed away when I was just born. But all this influence made me think the possibility. So when I retired from performing at the age of almost 65 years, I thought I should develop a teaching methodology for the actors. Because I knew that what is happening all over India, the training of actors is absolutely based on the Western technique. Stanislavski is the main person, resource person for actor training. And all the other Western masters are followed, but not really a continuation of Indian tradition. Indian tradition, when I say, it is the continuation of the great father of Indian theatre, Lord Shiva. In the whole world, there is no comparison. An actor becoming God, an actor deified as God. Because I say this because my study was mainly on the performing aspect of Shiva. There are so many stories available. I just go through the popular stories of Shiva theatre. Then come to Bharata, the great master, who compiled the entire technique of Indian theatre as Natya Shastra, and it is believed that he has trained efficient and eminent actors such as Urvashi. All this made me think the possibility of an actor training system. When I just retired from the Kudiyattam performing field, after a few days, I can say that I was invited to the Intercultural Theatre Institute in Singapore. Its director, Shashidharan Thirunalan, came to my house at Iringalaguda and he requested me, can you develop an acting module based on Kudiyattam and other Indian concept for the theatre students. They have a 3 years training course, in which maximum they can dedicate 3 months training based on this Indian system. So that was very, at that time, because I was not performing and I just almost retired from Kudiyattam, I thought that it is the right time I should go for teaching. So there were a few months available for preparation. So based on all the information I have collected, I have developed a system and which I named it as NAVARASA SADHANA. I don't want to call my training system as Suravayu because I have not studied directly from the Kodungalur masters. So I thought a different name. Not only that, whatever information I have collected about the Kodungalur system, which is I thought that it is not practical for me to apply to the people who are absolutely not at all aware of anything of Indian classical theatre. Because Singapore, I was told that the students are from Chinese, Singapore Chinese and Malaysia's and also from the other Asian countries and also a lot of students from India. They are all theatre students. They don't have any background of Indian tradition. So I thought that it is a different system I have to introduce. Because Kodungalur system is only for those who so far they have trained, the last master trained only Kathakali and Kudiyattam artists. And he accepts those people who had at least something like 15 years training in their respective field. Then he take them and give further training in the elements of acting. So for me, it is the fresh students coming. I thought that I should develop a absolutely new system, which I introduced in Singapore, and that after 3 months of training, I was astonished that result is much beyond my expectation. In the first batch of students, there was one boy from Kerala also. His name is Shankar Venkateswaran. He had some training with me before joining Singapore. So, and also a young girl from China, mainland, who is highly trained in the Beijing opera. And there were a few Malaysian and other Tamil and Chinese students. So they all expressed after 3 months that it is a really wonderful experience. What is Indian theatre? Indian theatre is one source is the Natya, other source is the practical tradition existing in India. I belong to the Kudiyattam tradition. I was in the Kathakali, but finally I was working as an artist of Kudiyattam. Kudiyattam is the only surviving theatre form in India from the tradition. I can also say that it is the only surviving theatre as theatre, traditional theatre in the whole world. This I say authentically because I was working as I was one of the directors of the World Theatre Project based in Sweden. There were experts from different parts of Europe, Italy, China, and maybe even Africa was represented. So our first exploration was to find about the written documentation on theatre in various countries. So the whole Europe in the ancient documentations. From the whole Europe, it was only Aristotle's Poetics, which is a very slim volume, and then coming into Asian countries, China. I heard that China had so many material, but for theatre there is nothing from the tradition, nothing written material from the tradition. Even the Beijing opera, Jingzhu, there is no written documentation. There are many written material on martial arts, but not on theatre. In Japan, we find that the great No Master Yemi has written in the 16th century a treatise which is for the for the proper guidance of his family troupe of No theatre. That's all. But in India, the great Natyashastra, the most ancient treatise, is 6,000 verses to say the aspects of Natya. 6,000 verses, such a huge compilation. Apart from Natyashastra, there are many other Sanskrit and regional language texts all over India. That was an eye-opening experience. There I come to know the great material available in India. That made me so enthusiastic to go through as much as possible. Finally, I come into a conclusion that I can develop a training system which is NAVARASA SADHANA, based on one of Haridas' famous sutra, Vibhava Anubhava Vibhijari Samyogat Rasa Nishpatti. Vibhava, the thematic, the reason. Anubhava, expressing through body of gestures, Angika, Vachika through sound and words, and Satika, the total involvement of the actor. Then comes Vyabhijari. Bharata describes about 33 Vyabhijari bhavas. That is the real great information for me. The 33 Vyabhijari bhavas, each Vyabhijari bhava has different anubhavas or the experiences to be associated. Like the first Vyabhijari bhava is Nirveda. There are 8 experiences. Daridryam, poverty; Vyadhi, illness; Avamanam, insult; Adhikshepam, accusing; Akrosanam, shouting. Tadanam, physically assaulting, beating. Ishtajana viyogam, somebody whom your dearest is no more. And Tattvajnana, philosophical realization. These are the experience associated with the first Vyabhichari bhava. So, how to deal with it? How it contribute for the Abhinaya? We asked several Natyashastra scholars right from Varanasi to Kerala, because Kerala Natyashastra scholar was my guru, Professor K.P. Nanaprasadi, who translated entire Natyashastra into Malayalam. But none of them can properly give an answer about the practical application of the Vyabhichari bhavas. Bharata has given so much importance to Vyabhichari bhavas. Vibhava anubhava Vyabhichari samyoga. That's not Nishpati. It is Vibhava, Anubhava and Vyabhichari bhava. It is not the Sai bhava. That was really a great revelation as far as I am concerned. So I started finally doing myself, experiencing all these bhavas. Daridryam, Vyadhi, Avamanam, etc. It was revealing and it was highly, the experience was very, very effective. I thought this is the way I should follow. I should make a teaching methodology based on these aspects. So the NAVARASA sadhana was created.
എനിക്കൊരു കുഴപ്പമില്ല. ഇല്ല. എനിക്ക് ജനത്തിന്റെ അടുത്തുനിന്ന് പോവാൻ പറ്റില്ല ശിവ. എനിക്ക് പിന്നെ കാണാൻ പറ്റില്ല. I can't see you. I can't leave. I can't leave him. No, he is alone here. Leave him. No, please, Sathik, I want to be with him. I can't see him. You. Don't cover his face, okay, no.
More than about the art and more than about the artist in you, I think Guruji just taught me to calm down. It's like how he'll say, like how we all went and Guruji, this is not enough, we need more stuff. And Guruji is like, calm the fuck down. You won't be able to handle it. So we are like, okay, maybe we really, and we did. And we cried and we cried and we just emptied ourselves, and I think we just slept better. We ate better. We were so much more mindful of the world around us. We became observers rather than, just wallowing in self-pity and the pain and what the world is giving us. We started to observe. We started to break it down, and it's life happening here. And it's beautiful. I don't know what else to say.
Been part of phase 3. I was going to run away on the 4th day of phase 1, and here I am 3 months later finishing phase 3. Something has drastically changed in me. It is Guruji's presence, it is Guru Ma's presence, Kapila. I think it's the energy of this space and the program that's designed. I feel like a more confident actor. When I came in, I don't even think for 12 years I considered myself an actor. I've always had a hard time understanding acting, and I think I finally have some sense of what it is after 13 years of doing it. And I'm very, very fortunate, and I can't wait for phase 4. I can't wait to come back. September, I think we've already booked, and I can't wait to be back and finish all the 8 phases.
I always say that I'm a bad speaker. I can't speak at all. I can dance, but I cannot speak. So, but you saw me doing one whole act, speaking, and especially emoting something like Hasyam. I can't believe I'm here and I'm doing it actually. I'll start crying now. Oh my God. Okay. So basically, when I came for the phase 1, I understood that I can also breathe. There is breath in me, I can also breathe. The phase 2 really was intense, and it took me to somewhere, I don't know, it just tapped some part of me that just exploded like anything. Now in phase 3, I think I've got like a tiny bit of understanding to how to use breath. So I know there are 8 phases, and I don't know when I can able to complete it. But what Marsh has made or created is something just beautiful. I don't know, it's not just for the dancer, you know, it's not just for the actor also, but there is something that transcends you to become a better human being. Because I remember phase 1, the reaction what I had was I was crying, and I felt like my pores are open, basically. Like that the basic thing that I felt was like, my pores are open. Like I could breathe. So being at phase 3 now, I was waiting and waiting for it. After that corona and all, I was so happy when he said that we could do it now, and I wanted to do it here. This space, as everyone spoke about, this is a magical space, and you have to come here and you have to experience it, especially in the presence of Masha. I don't know, I can't agree for online somehow, but this is just something, and you cannot comment on it unless you are here. You know, you have to be here and you have to experience it. Then you understand, oh my God, you know, this is something. And the beauty of it is you cannot describe it. You cannot actually say, oh, this is it. No, this is something just beautiful, and that's it. So it makes you a better person, because after phase 1, what my major takeaway was, you have to be an observer of everything in you, around you. Like even if you are crying out of the worst thing that has happened to you, still you are being an observant and understanding what is happening to you. And that is the best takeaway I have had, because that has kind of neutralized me in the case of being an individual and also getting better as an actor.
I feel like the body as a container for an actor, and how acting is not acting. It's a very sincere contact with every part of your being. From your cells to your nerves to your pulse points to the memory. It's not in the mind. The body is carrying all of it, and that is where the sukshma really opens up. What are we without the body? What is an actor without a body? And the body is everything. It is a shrine, and I think only Guruji can really make that effortlessly clear. Traditionally, what happens, particularly in the context of Natya Shastra, there's a lot of medley of technique using the shwasa. Many do that. conventionally. Here what happens with Guruji's just presence, as she said, and just what he's saying, he's probably saying one line, but it is actually carrying janmas of clarity for an actor. And what happens then, the shwasa goes away. There is no breath. It is such a subtle consciousness that the breath then begins to become even more clear for the actor. And then when the actor starts experiencing the changes within the body, then the actor is also no more. Only the body remains, only the body's clarity remains. And I feel like nobody can do that. I have not experienced in my so many years of meeting many teachers. There is really no one like Venuji. Really, there is no one. His presence is very important to acting and actors. I don't want to call it also acting. It's transcended it. When you return back to the body, you value your life. That is one of the biggest things. Every part of my body now has become so precious, because what am I without the body? And it's so subtle, and the subtle gets subtler and subtler. And in phase 3, I felt like the subtle body became the body. And it was like everything slowed down and everything narrowed down to the consciousness of the very senses, and even transcended it somehow. So the color, the range, the ability to see clearly, the ability to receive, the ability to absorb, the ability to temper with the breath is such a craft. It's like your body is a lab and you're playing with it, but you are sincerely playing with it. And I think that's a profound knowledge that it's not just an actor's body, it becomes the body of Tantra. Tantra is really alive in the body when Guruji passes on his knowledge. And I am just blessed. I think something I must have done to arrive in this time and age to learn it. It's very old and it's very alive. And this place is a blessing to every actor, every artist, every sincere artist who takes acting as a way of life. It's a craft, it's a deep craft, and it can have a profound effect on you. And I'm so grateful to Guruji, really. I'm so lucky to be experiencing this.
I mean, I think in specific what I've learned, or what I'm taking away from the phase 3 practice, is a deeper understanding of Guruji, your training methodology, and how it's interpreting the Navarasas and the Natya Shastra through a contemporary lens that really allows any type of artist, I think, to explore the emotion that lives inside their bodies, which I think is incredible. But I think more importantly, for me, what's incredible and wonderful about this space is the fact that it's the way that it's facilitated is through this sense of radical compassion and inclusivity. And I think so much of the art, film, performance world is critical, and it's about teaching people to fit in very narrowly defined boxes. And I think the way that you approach and run these workshops in a way that really is witnessing and accepting all forms of unique expression, and in allowing us to discover that expression for ourselves as we go along the way, I think is quite really the transformative aspect of it, because it allows you to, in a way, embrace different parts of yourself that you think are strange or weird or maybe don't fit, but somehow they come together with the drums and the emotion of the Navarasas. And I think there's something quite beautiful and revolutionary in that way of teaching and facilitating, and it's quite anti-colonial and capitalism in its very ethos, and I think that's what what really, for me, I think that's what really transforms you through it and at the end of it. And I hope I can continue to return. So thank you so much for it.
Namaste, I'm Tanya Sachdeva. I'm an actor by profession. I'm currently here at Natana Kerala doing my phase 2 of NAVARASA Sadhana. I think whoever's been here would agree this is such a beautiful experience that every artist needs to experience once in their lifetime. I feel fortunate to share the same space with wonderful dancers, wonderful performers, and Guruji is such a patient teacher. I'm really grateful to him for creating this wonderful, non-judgmental, pure space for artists to come explore and grow. And every technique is so well devised. I think every hour you realize there's a certain shift that happens inside of you. So yes, truly, truly blessed. I'm also going to read a few names out who've been a part of the big 100 so far. Of course, there are a few names. There have been a lot of people over these years. So in Bharatnatyam, there's Chitra Sundaram, Shijit Nambiar, Parvati Menon, Meera Gokul, Ranjit, Vijna Ranjit, Divya Ravi, Divya Kasturi, Dakshina Vedyanathan, Meera Srinarayanan, Parimal Fatke, Prachi Sathi. Mohini Attam, Rachita Ravi, Sandra Pishuradi, Bindu Rajendran, Jaya Prabha Menon, Keiko Okano, Maithili Marat Anup, Shruti Mohan, in Kuchipudi, Vejanti Kashi, Srilata Suri, Sri Lakshmi Govardhanan, Pratiksha Kashi, Gomati Burada, Reddy Lakshmi, Art Critic, Arshia Sethi, Kathak, Sheila Mehta, Sanjukta Wagh, Odissi, Suraj Subramaniam, Sonali Mishra, Theatre, John Murphy, Shrivasti Banerjee, Sonali Bhardwaj, Srijit Ramanan, Abhish Shashidharan, Shabana Kohelo, Dhruti Shah. In storytelling, Shireen Saif, Gauri Raje, Luba Shield. In film, Adil Hussain, Sandhya Mrudul, Rahat Mahajan, Neeta Vashisht, Reema Kalingal, Kalyani Mule, Isha Talwar, Divya Uni, Navya Nair, Anshul Chauhan, Kani Kusruti, Anjali Patil, Aditi Balan, Gayatri Arun, Niharika Negi.